Court will come to order. It is Monday, October the 28th, 2024. It's 9 o'clock in the morning and the Kerr County Commissioners Court is now in session. If you would, please stand for the prayer and the pledge. Pray with me. Good and gracious God, we invite you into our presence to fill our hearts with wisdom and compassion as we do the people's work. We pray all this in your holy name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please be seated. Okay, the first thing I ask you to do is to please turn your phones off or to vibrate so that do not interrupt the proceedings. The first order of business on a regular Commissioners Court meeting like today is public input. And this is an opportunity for us to listen to the public and receive input. It is not an opportunity for us to return our output back to you. So if you want to talk to us about something that's on the agenda, we ask that you wait until that agenda item is called. If you want to talk to us about something not on the agenda, this is your opportunity. We ask that you identify yourself and limit your remarks to no more than 3 minutes. Do we have any members of the public that would like to offer input at this time? Yes, sir.
Jeff Berner, Kerr County and Kendall County. I'd like to clear up a few comments and outright lies made by Rob Kelly concerning the establishment of the 391 Commission that would help the citizens of Kendall County and Kerr counties. The comments made in the October 15th Commissioners Court meeting were offensive, meant to be divisive, and to provoke anger to myself, my family, my friends, my neighbors, and other concerned taxpayers. First of all, there was no mob. The meeting in the Comfort Library was absolutely not a mob. The meeting was a peaceful assembly of taxpayers of both counties, along with the officials that are here today. The meeting was to obtain information to determine if the 391 Commission was a viable solution to the egregious invasion of our property rights as taxpayers. There was no pitchforks, torches, book burning, setting cars on fire. Please ask anyone other than Rob Kelly that was at the meeting and you'll get a different response. Rob Kelly scurried out the back of the meeting, probably not liking what he was listening to. The public comment from the bench was an absolute lie. Power grab, that was the next thing he said. The idea that this was a power grab is also absolutely false, another complete lie. We brought our concerns to both counties, both sets of commissioners, and have been informed they're powerless to help us concerned taxpayers with their needs. We're trying to regulate dangerous facilities located in our communities to protect our natural resources, land, livestock, wildlife, and most of all, the health, safety, and welfare of the concerned taxpayers of our counties. We have brought the solution and a resolution of our concerns to the county. The 391 Commission will include elected officials from both counties. In other words, the counties get representation. Funding for this 391 cannot come from public funds. We'll have to fund this ourselves. So, Ms. Overby, there is no cost to the county. Mr. Letts, the county also doesn't have this power, so you're not giving up something that you don't have. Funded by billionaires. It's pretty ridiculous. So far, local citizens have solely funded this endeavor themselves. The local people of these counties have organized all the meetings, provided all the research from their own efforts. Complete lie. Not sure I've ever met a billionaire. Rob Kelly told these lies publicly. If you, Rob Kelly, do not have the courage or integrity to help your taxpayers, you should step aside.
Any other public input?
My name is Audrey Berner. I'm Jeff's wife. I just want to set a couple of comments straight. Terry Hall did not organize the meetings. I did, Audrey Berner, and I will continue organizing these meetings with Kerr and Kendall counties. And I will continue to stand up and fight for what I believe in. Also, my husband and I are not bought and paid for by any West Texas billionaires or any other man or organization. Jesus Christ has died and given his blood and his body for us. He is the only one that has paid for us. I do not appreciate the comments that you have made concerning us and the residents of Kerr County. You should get your facts straight before you stand up there and say misleading things that disparage our county and our citizens. You are a man of position and in a position of authority, and you should set the record straight and get them right before you speak on them. If you have any questions, you are more than welcome to call me, email me, text me, whatever y'all would like to do, any of y'all sitting up there, and anybody in this audience. If you have any questions about these battery energy storage facilities, I am more than happy to come and speak to y'all and help educate it, because I am totally opposed to them in our counties or any county in the state of Texas. I appreciate all y'all are doing up there. Please seek God's wisdom and his will in this endeavor before you start saying things that are misleading. Thank y'all.
Any other public input? Okay.
Good morning, Court. Jeff Holt here from Kerr County, Precinct 3, Cypress Creek. Just want to reiterate what Jeff and Audrey were saying. I'm going to take any emotion I have out of it, but I can tell you I do agree with everything they just said. This all started out as a real grassroots movement that I want to make sure the court was aware of. It came out of comfort. They had significant concern. I've been kind of hopefully even-keeled with everyone to let you know what's going on with the development of these things, the concerns that we have. But I also look at it from an objective point of view. I think y'all know that. And everything I'm going to present is going to be from an objective point of view about the good and the bad that these could bring to our land, to our property, and to potential that it brings. So, with that being said, anything about a billionaire or backing or other grass movements is just hogwash, like plain and simple. These are local people that have come together that I know that have concerns over this, including what it could do to our school, what it could do for our communities. And the challenge for me is to really say how nested it is between Kendall and Kerr, which is why I believe the joint Kendall-Kerr 391 Commission is still a good idea. Hopefully we can come to that in the future. I know it's not easy forming these commissions, but I think it's important to help legislatures come together to limit the impact that these could potentially have and to maybe get these on track. I understand this is new ground that we're walking, and it's not comfortable sometimes, but I'm going to get beyond politics to get to what we have is good order and setting a framework for these maybe to be regulated. Because right now, it's just a Wild West show out there, and they're free to come in and do whatever size they want, and that's what has me concerned. So, still believe in 391, just want to lay the record straight. Thank you, Judge.
Any other public input? Okay, we'll move on to the commissioner's comments. One.
We're still waiting on rain. I went and voted on Friday, and it was great to see a real best turnout. Somebody may have numbers on voting tallies. I'll let them add those in, but that's all.
Okay. Well, Precinct 2, burn ban is still in effect. It is for all the precincts, so it's just so dry. Be very careful with any activities that could lead to a fire. And hopefully we'll get some rain a little later this week. I attended the indoor arena roof replacement pre-bid meeting on the 15th, and looking forward to opening some, what I hope are some good bids later today in this meeting. And I too voted last Friday, and although I've heard it's been a really big turnout, I mean, I didn't have a significant wait, only one couple in front of the line before me. So I congratulate the election staff for, so far it's been well run. Just to let you know, I did hold 2 town hall meetings on the 15th and the 24th, covering a range of topics from budget overview, an update on capital projects and cost savings, elections, and battery energy storage system issue and what we're trying to do about it. And last week I attended the County Judges and Commissioners Conference in San Marcos, and what was the best thing about it was I had the opportunity to meet with Waller County Judge Trey Duhan to discuss his experience, where they did form a Chapter 391 SRPC that was used to stop a high-speed rail system that TxDOT had planned to install through Waller County and other counties. And he provided some very useful insights and advice, and also offered to meet with us, possibly in person, but definitely by Zoom, if we have concerns that need to be addressed. That's all.
Indeed, Randy, I visited with Andy a few minutes ago, and I can give you a little bit of a voter history. We're a little over 15,000 people have voted in Kerr County so far. It's about 37% of the registered voters. So it's good. We have 1 week to go. Just so the public is aware, polls were open through this Friday, 7
7 to 7.
Correct.
7 to 7. So,
And then
we
Tuesday.
have two locations, Milton Youth Event Center and Ingram and where's it? There's Ingram.
Yes,
And at
510 College Street.
so, voting turnout was very good. There is rain in the forecast, hopefully it'll actually happen.
Yeah, it looks promising that at least we got a shot, which is better than no shot. We'll see what happens. A couple things coming up I want to mention is this Friday, the ball game dinner for Divide School fundraiser out of the Divide VFD. It's always a good event. It's well attended, and everybody has a good time. And there's a big assortment on the menu. Plus those that don't like ball game, there's usually some different things for them as well. So try to attend that. I believe it runs from like 4 to 9 or something like that, 5 to 9. Also, November 7th, the Sheriff's Foundation is having their fundraiser at Arcadia, and that's a good event to attend as well, and for a good cause. They raise a lot of money from private funds that helps our Sheriff's Office. So that's it.
Okay, with that, we'll move on to the consideration agenda. Item 1.1, consider discussion and appropriate action on a request from the Kerrville Masonic Lodge to use the courthouse grounds on April 5, 2025 for their annual car show. Some familiar faces here.
Yes, sir. Morning, Judge, Court. We're here to request the use of the courthouse grounds again for our third annual Masonic Car Show that we do every year to raise funds for scholarships and other community projects that we've had. I believe y'all got a handout. We would like to do it on April 5th this year, if that's not possible, or alternative date would be March 29th.
Thank you, Inspector.
So, I'll move for approval.
I'll second that.
Got a motion and a second to approve April 5th for the annual Masonic Lodge Car Show. Any discussion? Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous, thank you.
Thank you.
Excuse me, what was your name?
Sir?
Billy Steele.
Billy Steele, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. I knew who it was. Item 1.2, consider discuss take appropriate action to grant Kathy Simmons to Emergency Services District Number 1. Mr. Harris?
Yes, I don't see Kathy here, so might come up. Is she out there, Judge? I mean,
No, sir.
Sheriff? No? Okay. Well, I move to put Kathy Simmons on the ESD number 1 board. We have a vacancy, and she's more than qualified.
I'll second.
Got a motion and a second to appoint Kathy Simmons to the ESD Number 1 board. Any discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. On item number 3, 1.3, consider discuss and take appropriate action to have the county surveyor survey a portion of the Ingram Volunteer Fire Department property for Emergency Services District Number 1 and have the county pay $1,500 fee.
All right.
Fish use.
Good morning. Chris Hughes, President ESD1. I guess we'll keep on with the ESD theme. So, yeah, just that, we're requesting use of the county surveyor to survey out a small plot around the Ingram Fire Station. As a little bit of history, back in 1999, Ingram Volunteer Fire Department and what became ESD1 worked together to purchase around 39 acres of land around Old Ingram Loop and build the existing fire station. ESD1 kicked in about 56% of those funds using taxpayer money. Fire department kicked in the remaining 44%. And regardless of how it was funded, officially on the books, all the building and the land is 100% owned by the Ingram Volunteer Fire Department. In discussions with the fire department, between the ESD and the fire department, we both agreed that it's in the best interest of the community and the district for the building and approximately 2.5 acres of land surrounding that building. So the building, one of the helipads, essentially that upper, if you're familiar with the area, that raised area that you see where the fire station is, to carve that section out and transfer ownership of that section from the volunteer fire department to the ESD. Essentially what that does is it puts control of this valuable taxpayer asset under the ESD, under a public entity, as opposed to under the control of a contracted private nonprofit program. And I want to be clear here, this move is not a reflection of our relationship between the ESD and the volunteer fire department. We're very pleased with everything that they're doing out there. Chief Bacchus is doing a great job. All that we're looking here is a change. There's no change in relationship. It's just a change on a piece of paper on the ownership. So to do this, we require a survey, and surveys were running around $1,500. And during that process, it was suggested that we come to you, request that the county surveyor perform that service for us, and that's why we're here.
Yeah, and I think, we're requesting to use the county survey and for the county to cover their expense. And I understand that this, this was done before with Mountain Home VFD when they built their facility out there on county land. So I move that the county covers the $1,500 fee for this survey that the ESD wanted and the VFD is, Ingram VFD is requesting.
I'll second that motion.
I have some questions.
Discussion.
Yeah, Chris, do you have anybody from the volunteer fire department here? I mean, I assume they approve this in one of their meetings, and there's minutes from the meetings that
Yes.
they want to do this?
Yeah, I don't have anyone here from the fire department, but absolutely. This has been a discussion back and forth, and they're 100% behind this.
And I was at the last ESD1 meeting, and VFD representatives were all there, and it was in discussion and knew that this was going to take place.
It's a very different approach from the Centerpoint VFD and how we want to manage assets that belong to the ESD versus the department. But if that's what the department wants.
They're all run different. Well,
Yeah, I guess so.
Chris, is there a reason the rest of the property wouldn't be transferred to the ESD?
Really, that's, since it is 100% owned and they did chip in, approximately half, we didn't think that it would be right for the entire asset to move over to the ESD. And operationally speaking, that land down there doesn't do the community any good. That's a nice asset for the volunteer fire department to have, to keep, use it for income generation, through events, for training. That's the purpose of that land. All we're concerned about is the fire station, the helipad, and just keeping that under the ESD.
Just curious.
Yep.
And just to clarify, there's going to be a long-term lease with the volunteer fire department operating the facility, right?
It's essentially a year-to-year lease, but yes, it's a contracted entity between the ESD and the volunteer fire department. So they continue to use it just as they're using it now.
Well, I just want to clarify that the intent is for the ESD providing facilities to the VFD to operate.
Correct. The ESD, as an organization, has no use for that station other than to let a qualified fire department use that station.
Anything else? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous.
Thank you.
But do that. Administrative, where's the funds
I don't know. We'll figure that out in testing, I guess.
Professional services. It's a
coming from?
professional
Professional
fee.
services. That'll work good.
Okay, moving on to the next, our last time item this morning is 1.4, consider discussing and appropriate action for the set a public hearing for 10 a.m. on December the 9th, 2024, for a revision of plat of Shadow Bluff Track 8, plat file number 21-0740 21-07040. This is Bobby Gore, and it says K, but I know it's T. Thank you.
Good morning, Judge, Commissioners. This proposal revises Tract A, which is a total of 32.33 acres, into 3 lots. 2 lots will be 10.01 acres fronting on Bear Creek Scout Road, and 1 lot will be 12.31 acres fronting on Cedar Cliff Loop. Shadow Bluff was platted in 2021 with a total of 8 lots, and this proposal will revise it to a new total of 10 lots. Senate Bill 2440 requires a water availability study for subdivisions, but it allows the court to consider credible evidence in lieu of water availability studies when a subdivision results in no more than 10 tracts. According to Headwaters Groundwater Conservation District, this proposal meets their requirements for individual wells. Of course, this request is just to set a public hearing. The county engineer requests the court set a public hearing for 10 a.m. on December 9, 2024 for a revision of plat for Shadow Bluff Track A, plat file number 21-07040 in precinct 4.
I move for approval.
Second.
Got a motion and a second to approve setting a public hearing for December the 9th, 10 a.m. for this revision plat, Shadow Bluff Track number 8. Any discussion?
Bobby, can you tell me, has any credible evidence been presented, or did we just get Headwaters to say it's okay?
Well, nobody's going to guarantee that water is there, but it does fall within that criteria. For instance, we even have something written in our regulations currently that allow for it. That Senate bill kind of trumped our rule. We had it, I think, up to 20 lots. That Senate bill trumps that, which reduces it down to 10. Again, this one's just to set a public hearing, but the court could consider the fact that it falls within Headwaters requirements, or it meets those requirements as well.
That's fine. And look, I'm fine with the public hearing, but I would encourage Headwaters Groundwater Conservation District to actually explain what the credible evidence is. Did you fill out a form to speak?
I talked to Charlie about this. TCQ does not define credible evidence. You can't define it. And so Headwaters has no jurisdiction over that. All we have jurisdiction over is if they're over 10 acre lots. But when I talked to Charlie, I said, for credible evidence, for something like this, the simple solution would be see if there's a couple wells out there already, and then go over to our geologist and get them to show that they sit on top of the aquifer, and you'll have credible evidence. That's as good a definition as you'll ever get for that.
Okay.
Because there is no such, there's no terminology that's been defined through TCQ yet, and we have no jurisdiction over that.
I understand.
If that helps.
I'm just hoping that in the public hearing, we'll kind of
Right.
readdress that, or whatever. Let's put it out there so everybody's aware and on the same page.
I think that, I mean, that's fine, but to me, there's no guarantee you drill anywhere that there's gonna be water. But there's a pretty strong likelihood that anywhere in this county you drill a well, you will have water. May not be a lot, but you have water. So I think it's the fact that, I don't know of any, areas where there is no water. It's credible evidence to me that there is water pretty much under this county. And I think that it's kind of ridiculous to start asking for, credible evidence, and we don't even know what that means.
Well, and that's the whole point, is just
But by
discussing
law, the court
so that
has
we
discretion.
better understand what it means and what it doesn't mean. And that's my only intent. I agree with you. I mean, I'm not overly concerned if it's over 10 acres, but since SB, the bill came out, this is kind of the first case, so
And I think we can
what does
say
it really mean?
in general that credible evidence says there's water in Kerr County.
So far. There are wells that are dry, maybe not in this area.
Yeah, just for
Really
what
get
I,
deeper, there is one.
for what it's worth, this was platted only 3 years ago as 5-acre lots, most of them. And so, of course, we're doubling the size on these proposals.
Okay, this is for a vote to set a public meeting for December the 9th, 10 a.m. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Thank you. Moving on to item 1.5. Consider, discuss, and take appropriate action to authorize the county judge to execute a contract with Mustard Architects for architectural services associated with retrofits for Kerr County Indoor Arena and East Addition located at 3782 State Highway 27, Kerrville, Texas, in an amount not to exceed $32,750, which includes $100 reimbursable expenses, and retrofits for the building located at 550 Earl Garrett Street, Kerrville, Texas, in an amount not to exceed $16,325, which includes $1,000 reimbursable expense, all in precinct 2.
So Charlie couldn't be here today. He prepared all the backup information. As has been pointed out, we went through an RFQ process to identify the best qualified architect for services with respect to the indoor arena at the Youth Event Center. And this is now based on the scope of work that we've reviewed and approved, and it's all been passed through the county attorney, that we would like to go ahead and award this contract based on the estimates here, which does include an extra $1,000 for reimbursable expenses in the event that we have an extra meeting or two. So with that, I'll move to approve and authorize the county judge to execute a contract with Mustard Architects for architectural services associated with retrofits for the Kerr County Indoor Arena and East Addition. And the amount for the contract shall not exceed $32,750. And then there will also be a separate contract for retrofits to the building located at 550 Earl Garrett Street for an amount not to exceed $16,300, and that's for the modifications required for the adult probation move.
This contract is for both of those services. Both scopes of work have been attached. There are a couple of modifications I need to make to the contract that don't substantially alter the contract. But this is for both buildings or projects.
We have a motion?
Second.
Thank you.
So the idea is that they're gonna come up with buildings with plans, and those
Yeah.
plans would be put out to bid then?
Correct. Yes. Exactly. And we're actually getting ahead of it on the indoor arena. You know, the main thrust of the money that this court has budgeted this year is to replace the roof and hopefully do the electrical upgrades, which of course we will need some, particularly MEP engineering services, which is the next agenda item, to do that. But in particular, for all of the other work that I presented to the court, we're going to need architectural input to get permits and design all the different systems for that project. And hopefully it will get done in time for the next budget, and we can decide what we want to tackle on next year's budget.
So this is planned for next year, or for 2025, 26?
Well, not the 550-year-old Garrett. That's in the budget to do everything that's required at 550-year-old Garrett. So that work is probably the priority for both the architect and the engineer, so that we can get that going. But the scope for the indoor arena really isn't for this year. It's to prepare for the next year's budget. So we can have all the designs ready to go, and we can decide, be prepared to go out for bid, and the court can decide what we want to do next year.
Any other discussion? Those in favor of entering into this contract with Mustard Architects as presented, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Moving on to item 1.6, consider discussing taking appropriate action to authorize the county judge to execute a contract with Keener Engineering Services LLC for mechanical, electrical, and plumbing services associated with retrofits for the Kerr County Indoor Arena and East Addition located at 3782 State Highway 27, Purple, Texas, in an amount not to exceed $32,500, which includes $1,000 for reimbursement expenses, and retrofits for the building located at 550 Earl Garrett Street, Purple, Texas, in an amount not to exceed $9,450, which includes $1,000 for reimbursement expenses.
And again, Charlie Hastings did a nice write-up in support of this agenda item. And as we've already kind of discussed on the last agenda item, this is for the engineering services for the same two projects. So they're asking for $32,500 for the retrofits of the 550 Earl Garrett Street building. And that one is again the priority to get this work done. That's the amount for the Youth Event Center. And the $32,500 covers, eventually when we go to a concrete floor, getting all the new plumbing and electrical. And, we're going to have wash-down pens and toilets and showers, and an upgrade of lights and ventilation fans. So all that's going to be properly engineered by Kerr Engineering. And again, we went through an RFQ process to select Kerr as the best qualified engineering firm with respect to mechanical, electrical, and plumbing services. So the $32,500 is for the indoor arena, and then they're also going to be required for the 550 Earl Garrett Street building, and that amount is not to exceed $9,450.
That contract also needs a couple of modifications that I'll submit to Jody later today for
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the engineering contracts as presented. Any discussion?
Question. This really goes back to both of them. An awful lot of money to spend on the ag farm for something that may not ever happen.
Well, if we don't spend the money, then again, it doesn't really happen.
But
And we do have enough money in this year's budget to cover this. Because we can't do the electrical work without doing this.
What, at the ag barn, you think?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
That's the deal.
They're gonna do more than we're ready to do.
Well, they're gonna do a little bit more than what we're ready to spend right now. But it's looking forward and being ready. I mean, it'll be up to this court to decide what else we're gonna do next in the subsequent fiscal budget. But at least we'll be positioned.
It ended up costing us more in the long run.
We've got a motion and a second to approve entering into the engineering contract with Kerr Engineering as presented. Any more discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Moving on to item 1.7. Consider discussing take appropriate action to accept contingency funds in the amount of $120,000 for the Operation Lone Star FY 2024 grant and authorize the county judge to certify the budget adjustment. Lieutenant Gage.
Morning, Judge, Court. Back a few weeks ago, I spoke about some funds that are going to be adjusted to us from the governor's office, especially Operation Lone Star. So they added that into E-grants as a contingency fund. Traditionally with the award, traditionally with grants, they give us as an award, but since they're continuing the project until August of next year, they just granted us the funds of $120,000 as contingency funds. So it's just in there as a kind of a grant adjustment, like the judge would understand. He just needs to go and verify that adjustment, and then we'll be able to go and move that $120,000 out of contingency and move it to where we need it within the grant.
Move for approval.
I'll second.
Got a motion and a second to approve accepting the contingency funds in the amount of $120,000 for the Operation Lone Star grant as presented. Any further discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Thank you. Item 1.8, consider discussing take appropriate action to approve contracts, a number of them, with the Hill Country Crisis Council, K-Star, Center Point Volunteer Fire Department, Kerr London Volunteer Fire Department, Haven Volunteer Fire Department. These are all routine, we do them every year. Just need to get them on the agenda and get them approved.
Move for approval.
Second.
Got a motion and a second to approve these contracts as presented. Any discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Item 1.9, consider discuss take appropriate action to rescind court orders 37057 and 37058 and approve the new Kerr County Animal Services Advisory Committee guidelines.
Won't be any action on this today because we don't have the new guidelines written. So that's on me. But what this is really about is that Karen Guerrero is appointed under our current court orders. The city appointed Karen Guerrero to be on the board. Karen wants to get off the board and have Karen Johnson be her replacement. But that takes city action right now because it's a city appointment, not a county appointment. And at the time, and this was all done years ago as part of, I won't go into history, it was done years ago as part of the,
This is Commissioner Moses.
yeah. So, and the other thing is that the committee, how it's more is doing things is very different than what was actually in that court order. It's very specific what that committee is doing. It's now truly an advisory committee on lots of issues. So I think that court order needs to be updated to do what the committee is actually doing, not to get rid of the committee that's intent there. And also to visit the city, but I don't think there's any reason for the city to have an appointee on this anymore. We can have a city resident. But anyway, so it's just kind of to clean it up as times have changed. And Karen wants off to her schedule, but if she gets off, then we're down a representative, it's the city representative. So anyway, I'll get that drafted for our next meeting and want to update as to why it's here.
Yeah, I thought we kind of severed the interlocal agreement between the county and the city.
Oh, yeah.
Relative to
We
animals.
severed
But not this, so.
we severed the agreement, we just didn't change this
Yeah,
forward.
so I'm, as you stated, I'm happy to have representation and have an advisory committee, but it shouldn't, that's up to the city.
It needs to be more simple.
Yeah.
So anyway,
Good.
that'll be,
To be revised.
hopefully at our next meeting.
Next agenda item is 1.10, consider discussing take appropriate action to approve adjustments to construction and revised budget for the new Kerr County Animal Services Building. Authorize preparation of revised construction documents and construction contract.
I think in the agenda package that came out with the adjustments to the bid that was submitted by J.K. Bernhardt, who's the low contractor. The amount does come in higher than the actual bond amount. It's at $5,829,000.45. The last meeting I did mention a little bit that there was a little bit of a savings that the court could by not including the euthanasia little area. But the benefit of doing that probably would save somewhere $40,000 to $50,000, and it would ever the cost to add it later would be triple that, double that, who knows what. So that is included to keep that. You can see at the top, those items were deducted from the original bid. We'll note that the rainwater collection is paid for by a grant, it's still going in, but it's paid for by a grant, or majority of it's paid for by a grant. Anyway, here's the number, it's over. I visited with Tanya this morning briefly, based on what's already been spent on architecture fees and all that, we're $5,600,000 and some odd thousand. So it's about $200,000 over what is left. Those funds, I recommend going to contingency. But I don't, if the facility is approved, we're talking about the budget. So I'll make a motion to approve the final price of $5,829,870.45 DD contract with J.K. Bernhardt.
Second. Got a motion and a second to approve the revised budget for the Kerr County Animal Services Building as presented. Discussion?
And what this does is this authorizes the contractor prepared and Peter Lewis to update the drawings to reflect these changes.
I don't like
Commissioner-
going over, but this is a lot better than the last To me, that's livable compared to what we were looking at, you know, basically $1 million over before.
My question, what's not in here that someone is gonna come back and ask that we need to spend more money? Because you kind of alluded that there might be some other things, so that's.
The things that are not included are paving the road, the seal coat on the road, and there's a fencing that will be required around the facility, to contain the facility. That's not included. And then interior furnishing, including the kennels.
There's a list of them at the top of that page, exactly.
So, those are the main items that are the main items. So,
The one that jumped out at me and that was taken away with the rainwater, but I'm glad to hear that the transfer, you know,
covering that. But I mean, the three items I was mentioned are, I guess, I don't know if the kennels are on there and interior stuff. But anyway, those are the items. And at kennels, we're looking at a number of different bids, options with that. And trying to figure out and sort it out. That will be coming back at a future date for some of the interior items. And I talked to Penny briefly, we need to look back at the budget. I know some funds were budgeted with those items. I'm not sure how much what that total amount is. And I'll get with
Ballpark? A couple $100,000?
But I do want to get this contract done. I'm going to visit with Charlie on the road construction a little bit, and Kelly. The contractor, or the engineer that did the road specs, is putting in 12-inch base, which is expensive. It's a long road. We were going to do seal coating on it. And the reason was that I saw the email that came back from them was that heavy truck traffic. Well, I don't really understand what this facility really is. I don't want to get into that detail right now. I want Charlie to look at the specifications, and there may be a way for us to take that out of the road out of the contract and do it through road and bridge, through a special project. There may be some options to save some there because that amount of base is pretty expensive. So, but we still we need to get this contract going so that they can start finalizing the drawings, and then make sure order material, we get things going before materials go up even higher.
I'm just very concerned that we're well over the bond amount. And in particular that we're not yet even addressing the kennels and fencing and a portion of the pavement and the FF&E, but I also recognize the importance of having this facility. The voters voted for it, 55%, I believe. I won't oppose it. I'm disappointed that.
We got it, it's, sooner we can do it, it's more cost, it's gonna be. We can drag it out, it's gonna make it more expensive, we're bigger than the law firm.
I want to be real clear. I haven't dragged anything out. This court hasn't dragged anything out.
We need to do, we're not gonna get, no need to go down that path, just to whack out the way. And no one saw about 17% inflation. And that goes to a little bit of the comments I made on the event center. Hope there's no numbers coming to that we're going to base anything on, because we have found that with the inflation where it currently is, you better put a pretty high escalator in there on any future projects.
So we've got a motion and a second to approve the revised budget as presented for the animal services building. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Unanimous. Okay, we've got the next three items of the contract, the next four items. So we can probably squeeze in some of the approval agendas. So let's go to 2.1, which are budget amendments.
There are not any budget amendments.
2.2, pay bills.
Invoices for today's consideration amount to $1,727,454.65.
I move for approval.
Second.
Have a motion to second to approve paying bills as presented. Any discussion? Those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Unanimous. 2.3 late bills.
There are not any.
2.4 auditor reports.
There are not any.
Very good. And 2.5, nothing reports.
Yes, for September of 2024, environmental health, OSFF, Director Ashley Batters, environmental health and animal services, Director Reagan Gibbons, treasurer's report, county treasurer Tracy Sullivan. I move for approval.
Second.
Have a motion to second to approve the monthly reports as presented. Any discussion? Those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Unanimous. 2.6, court orders.
We have our court orders from our October 15th meeting, numbers 40906 and 40942. They all need to be in order. Move for approval.
Second.
Have a motion to second to approve the court orders as presented. Any discussion? Those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Unanimous. We got a little bit of time. Well, let's go take a break and come back at 10 o'clock. sealed request for proposals for construction services for Kerr County Indoor Arena Remodeling Project using previously allocated American Rescue Plan Act funds and refer open RFPs to the selection of review committee for recommendation to be brought back to board on November 12, 2024 for potential award.
So this is for the RFPs that went out for the re-roofing project. Court approved that RFP on September 23rd. It was published the 25th and October 2nd, with bids due this past Friday, October 25th at 2 p.m. So I know we've received some, I don't know how many, and then the selection review committee will bring those back with recommendations. Their goal is to come back on November 12th with recommendations.
And this is not Mr. Putnam or Mr. Hastings?
No, neither one of them could be default to me.
Trying to figure out how they do this.
There are two options. I don't know if that's helpful or not, but that's.
Well, I'll read them out.
Okay.
We can probably, we're gonna end up accepting them all and referring them for evaluation.
Sure.
The first one is $495,602.63. And then there's a second bid for $761,516. This is from Albert Martinez Roofing and Construction LLC. This is from Alto Vista Roofing, Inc. Their first one is $665,000, and the second one is $809,500. One from Buckhorn Roofing LLC. First page is $499,375. Second page is $883,066. From Advantage USAA Inc. First bid is for $1,172,260. The second bid is $847,300. Those are the three bids we got. Four bids we got. Make a motion to accept all bids and refer them to the the committee for evaluation and recommendation.
I'll second.
A motion and a second to accept the bids as presented for the review committee. Any discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Who will give these to?
We can get them back to it.
I'm on the committee opening. That's fine.
Okay, next item on the agenda is item 1.12. Discussion regarding eminent domain proceedings with the
10:30. Do we have an executive session?
For a change.
Do we have an executive session?
We do. Let's adjourn into executive session. We've got a few items we can take care of. Look at them. Plan to come back to 10:30. So. 10:51.
Excuse me just a minute, I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'm ready.
Okay, we've got two 10:30 timed items. First one is item 1.12, discussion regarding eminent domain proceedings for the acquisition of fee simple estate totaling 54.9 acres, situated in the John Matchett Survey, abstract number 43, number 243, Kerr County, Texas, for future one-way expansion, safety areas, and other improvements. Mr. Munoz.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for your time. As you know, we are in the process of trying to acquire 54.9 acres adjacent to the airport along Airport Loop and 27. We've been negotiating with the developer for some time, for a couple of years now, and not been able to come to a consensus on the purchase price. We did issue a final offer. That offer was rejected. So we presented the city a couple of months ago with a resolution authorizing their use of eminent domain. And we did appeal to the Attorney General's office, to the General Aviation Department. The General Aviation Department notified us that the AG's office declined our petition to proceed with eminent domain, which means it falls on the county, the city, and the joint airport board to proceed under eminent domain. So what we're doing is we have a resolution before you asking that you proceed with eminent domain. We have a resolution in the next 2 weeks before the airport board to approve, asking and petitioning the board and the city for that resolution to be adopted. We also are on the November 12th agenda for the city for the same resolution. Both parties, since they jointly own the airport, have to proceed with eminent domain. Even though the property is outside of the city limits and the ETJ, since they are joint owners, they have to proceed with eminent domain. So we'll be approaching them as well. So we look forward to favorable consideration.
What's the most recent offer that we've made, dollar-wise, and then the most recent?
Do we want to talk about that publicly?
It's public, isn't it?
Yeah.
Sure.
I want to talk, I want to see what the disparity is. What's the appraisal value?
It was we did it at 2.2 million.
Okay,
That was the offer or the appraisal?
That was the appraisal.
okay.
Correct?
No.
No, the appraisal was
That's the offer.
1.8.
1.8, and you offered 2.4?
2.2. They came back at 4.5 million, I believe.
Okay. That's what needs to be brought out.
Right.
Eminent domain, boy, that gets my
Yes.
feathers ruffled, unless it's just way out of line.
So the appraisal is 1.8, we offered 2.2, and they want 4.4.
4.5, that's correct.
4.5. Okay.
Does that work out to 80 some thousand an acre?
Okay. I mean, to me, this makes sense. It's property that would need the protection for long term. And I remember conversations with the developer when they first bought the property, that this was the intent all along. My recollection was the numbers were a lot less way back then, a couple of years ago. But amazing how things change. I mean, I'm certainly not, the court has never, the I've commissioner, never authorized the use of eminent domain, but we've never had a situation, in this situation as well, like this. But to me, this is one of the few times that I would support eminent domain.
Pretty hard to imagine with recognition that our county property values are going up, but I haven't seen anything going for $82,000 an acre, particularly when you're sitting underneath the airport flight path. So I think they're being very, very unreasonable. So I also support it.
I think the question comes down to public use and necessity. The airport is an extremely critical asset for this community, for the county, for the city. We've been working with TxDOT. TxDOT will actually pay for this acquisition. We front the money and then they reimburse us for it.
Correct.
But at the same time, I've lived here 35 years and I've never heard of an eminent domain case in Kerr County. I'm sure in ancient days they had to do it somewhere, I know, but so this kind of gets us out of our comfort zone. This has nothing to do with you, Mr. Munoz. It just has to do with the situation. We've gotten a fair market appraisal at $1.8 million. We had gone above and beyond with a $2.2 million offer, which is $400,000 more than what it was appraised for. And we have a counter offer for twice what we offered. I think that is an unreasonable position, and it puts us in the untenable position of having to exercise rights that we normally would not. And I know today what we're talking about are resolutions, city resolutions. We've got all kinds of resolutions to do this. But we have an unreasonable developer at this point that we have to confront. That means that we have to flex some of our governmental muscles, and I understand that we might have to do that. And so, as distasteful as it is, I recognize that, Mr. Harris, it is distasteful. But this just cannot be tolerated. The public has to be protected. Everyone's charged with responsibility to do it. And so I'm in favor of this resolution.
Heather, have you, the resolutions to your liking?
There are a couple of changes that Commissioner Pace has pointed out this morning that need to refer to the city instead of the county. And after that,
All those, I think.
just the way that the language was drafted, I think that it was a copy and paste from the city's resolution, and it was missed a couple of times where they needed to change the county to city.
But this has to be the city and the county.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right now, the city's left out.
Yeah, Jim Mans used to call it your parents.
And so what the county and the city, if the city does the same, will be authorizing the joint airport board to
Right.
undertake the eminent domain proceedings.
So with those changes, I mean, can we go ahead and authorize
You can.
that resolution? Because it only talks about discussion on the agenda item.
So on the, hang on a second.
We talked about it in the executive session, we do have the ability to act on matters discussed in the executive session.
Okay.
So,
Because otherwise,
but I gotta look at the county attorney.
You do, but it wasn't, I would feel more comfortable if you reposted it so that you could take action and use the same language that was posted under the consideration agenda. Because we didn't use that same language for the executive session item. I would just be more comfortable if you posted it for the 12th, the city's doing it on the 12th too, and just use that language and say, consider, discuss, and take appropriate action. Just so that the posting is clear and the public knows that you'll take action on that item.
And because of Veterans Day holiday, everything now goes to the 12th.
Yes, sir.
And have both the city and the county have to be the same day.
So what was the best
and that delay won't hurt us at all since we were waiting on the city anyway.
No, we should be good.
At least for the record, I'm stating that I have the intent to vote for that when we have the opportunity.
Well, you know, I think Kerr County's track record on eminent domain is great. I mean, this is a tool in your tool chest that is almost the last resort to use. And this may be the time that we pull the trigger on it. I don't like using it, but when we see the disparity in offers and everything, then it has to be considered. And putting it off till the 12th, maybe you'll get another offer.
We'll keep our fingers crossed.
Okay, so that was a discussion item. Thank you. Let's go ahead and move on to the next item, which is also airport budget, that's 1.13. Consider, discuss, and take appropriate action on request to approve the proposed budget amendment, amended operations budget for FY 24-25 for the Kerrville, Kerr County Airport. Mr. Munoz.
Good morning. I'm going to speak for
sorry.
this. That's okay. This is Crystal Sino.
I just looked up.
So in June, we had submitted our budget for the commissioner consideration. And since then, we have had to make an amendment for our operations budget specifically is what we're looking at, to where we forecast an additional $36,000 in revenue for non-aeronautical leases, as well as the joint airport board adjusted their fuel flow fees that we receive from fuel delivered to the airport, which increased our forecasted revenues by an additional $20,000, as well as the CPI on some of the leases increased by another about $500. But that comes to an increased revenue forecasted for fiscal year 2025 of $57,500. Looking at that, we are also able to take and look at our expenses, and we were able to take some of our historic operational expenses and allocate them as grant eligible, so move those over to a grant funding. With the additional $57,000 from the revenues, we are looking to make a couple of new hires to the airport within this amended budget, starting in January, a clerical position and 2 additional maintenance positions. So we present to you today an amended budget that is still balanced for our operational fund for consideration and hopeful approval.
You say balance revenues, additional revenues and additional expenses balance out.
Yes, sir.
Can't complain with that.
Thank you.
Move to approve the amended budget.
I'll second.
Got a motion and a second to approve the amended budget as presented. Any discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous?
Thank you.
We've got you on the agenda for the 12th.
Yes, sir, we'll be here.
Okay, then, implementing the agenda, staff reports to the department heads.
Judge, I'm sorry, you still need to take action on 4.3A for that contract? Yes? Oh, okay. Never mind, disregard.
Trying to take over. Any department heads? Okay, 3.2, elected officials.
I have a couple things. Just want to update the court and the public on a couple of things, reference to the elections. I spoke to Nadine this morning. Here recently, I went to a few conferences, more than normal, basically the Sheriff's Conference, National Sheriff's Conference, and last week a summit of 10 sheriffs throughout the United States. 4 of the topics that really big concern today is school safety, that's number 1 always, mental health, election security, and election integrity. Well, with my last conference I went to, I elected to put deputies in our polling places for the full 2 weeks. Yeah, did it make us shorthanded? Yes, but just as a security, as a sheriff, you know what I mean, I decided to do that. So currently we have them, our guys have had to de-escalate a couple situations in both locations. So I just kind of wanted to talk about a couple things, and Nadine, please correct me if I'm wrong. As far as talking in there, once you're in there in the polling place, and sitting down voting, you know, there's no talking. That's raised a couple of stuff where people got nasty with our volunteer employees. Also the phones to be turned off, but definitely not used when you're at the polling place. And then also is the electioneering. We've had some issues with people wearing stuff. You can't wear anything that represents any party or any certain person. Like I said, we have de-escalated a couple situations and had help people or asked them to leave. But all we're asking for during this time is compliance. We've got 1 week left on Tuesday. But what I want the public to be clear on is, you know, I'm not going to allow any yelling or cussing at our county employees or our volunteers. We'll ask you to leave, and then if not, we'll do what we have to do. So that kind of takes care of that part. Nadine, anything else?
No, sir.
All right. Hey, thanks, Don, for mentioning our fundraiser last. I want to say we do have our annual fundraiser November 7th at the Arcadia, kind of from 6 to 10. It is a fundraiser, but that's not what it's all about. We tell the public all the time, come out and join us. Basically, we're there to educate the public. We'll talk about our last year's events, our upcoming events. And then last, Captain Waldrop will speak about our project for this year. You know, our goal is always to make $100,000. The last 3 years, we've been very fortunate to do that and more. That's it. Thank y'all.
One thing I want to add to what you were talking about as far as elections, it seems like I get reeled in right off the bat for election violation or the posting of signs and stuff. And we have a policy that we adopted several years ago, and I sent it out to the sheriff, and they took care of some people putting signs on the fence and what have you. And I sent it out to several key people that would be, I knew would be out there, and I think it's cleared up. So
Yeah, we've had to enforce it one time, other than that, everybody's complying.
Well, Sheriff, I'd just like to say that I appreciate the way that you handle the elections, making sure that they're secure and everything's done orderly and professionally. The elections get kind of emotional.
They do.
And it's important that proper decorum is maintained. And I commend you for what you and your staff do.
Thank you.
Okay. Move on to the liaison commissioner reports. Very good.
I'll just inform the court that our little Swiftwater response board that we purchased for CARFA will be picked up this Friday. So all the paperwork is done satisfactory, and we'll have an asset in the county to help us should we ever get some rain in the flood.
So we can use it.
Okay, let's move on to the action agenda following executive session 5.1. Actions may be required on matters discussed in executive session. We're going to go back to executive session 4.3A, which was to consider, discuss, and take appropriate action to approve and authorize the county judge to sign a service agreement with RX Technologies and Fortinet Services for the implementation of an SDWAN modification to our local network design. For Genesis.
That was just information. We didn't have any action to take on that.
No?
No.
Anything else?
Wrap.
Done.